Hello everyone, I'm back, but this time with something a little different. We're gonna discuss something, a silly little thing called the Bechdel test. We all love a strong female character. I think it's very important to showcase these characters as a younger audience can look up to them and girls of all ages can just resonate with strong female characters. So recently, me and my best friend, we were having a conversation about our favorite female characters in media and how well they're represented in their respective medias. However, that does not go for every single female character. So that's where the Bechdel test comes in. If you're unaware of what the Bechdel test is, let me break it down for you. I had to grab my notes because I cannot memorize this off the top of my head. The Bechdel test is a way of evaluating whether or not a film or other work of fiction portrays women in a way that is sexist or characterized by gender stereotyping. To pass the Bechdel test, a work must feature at least 2 women. They gotta talk to each other, and their conversation has to do with something that isn't a man. This got me thinking, and I was just wondering and very curious how my favorite video game franchise, Sonic the Hedgehog, would fare against the Bechdel test. Before we dive headfirst, I want to preface a couple of things. So I will be covering the mainline games, the side games, and the spin-off games. However, I will not be covering like the party games, the Olympic games, or the racing games such as Team Sonic Racing, so on and so forth. This goes for arcade games. I will also not be covering handheld releases that are the same on main consoles, such as like Colors DS or Sonic Generations 3DS. This also goes for Sonic X Shadow Generations because at the end of the day, they're kind of the same game. You can argue that Shadow Generations kind of is its own game. For the sake of this video, we're just gonna bundle it with normal Sonic Generations. So let's begin. Our first game that we're gonna be covering, Sonic Adventure. We have 3 rules, and each one of these games that I put up on the board have to pass these 3 rules. Does Sonic Adventure have 2 female characters? Yes, it does. We got Amy, and then we've got Tikal. Ignore Rouge, she's just gonna be there for the rest of the time. Sonic Adventure is a game where you can play multiple different stories, and you could do multiple different POVs. One of them is Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and Gamma, which we're not covering any of that. We're just talking about Amy and Tikal here. So you can play through Amy's story, and here's the thing. Tikal, she's in everybody's story. However, she isn't a playable character. Before anybody gets mad at me, no, we're not talking about any of the multiplayers in any of these games, okay? So Tikal, she's kind of in everybody's story, but it really doesn't matter because we only need 2 women to talk, right? There is one single cutscene where I have seen Amy and Tikal interact, and I'm going to not count when Tikal is talking to Amy, telling you know how you could like walk up to like Station Square and like to the left there's that like red little light, that's Tikal. We're not gonna count that because they're not really talking to each other. It's more like Tikal giving you directions on where to go. So I'm not even gonna count that. The only cutscene I can think of is like Amy's in Dr. Eggman's ship and she gets this random flashback with Tikal and the Chows, and Chaos comes out of the water, and they don't even talk to each other. Like, not even once. Like, Amy just kind of sits back, observes, and doesn't do anything. Tikal is like doing her own thing with the Chows. So you know what that means? Does not pass the Bechdel test. So we're gonna move on now to one of the best games. Am I biased? A little biased. However, Sonic Adventure 2. We all know her, we all love her. Dare I say, one of the most iconic Sonic games of all time. She could do no wrong. However, maybe in this test, we'll see if she can do wrong. The first step is we have to make sure that at least this game has 2 female characters and they talk to each other. We've got Amy, we've got Rouge. That's the only female characters we got. Okay, I guess we have Maria. She's dead though. Anyway, so we have Amy and we have Rouge. We have Team Hero and we have Team Dark. And Amy, well, Amy is on Team Hero. However, she's not a playable character. And again, we are not counting the multiplayer, guys. She doesn't really talk to Rouge ever. And Rouge doesn't really ever talk to Amy. The entire game, Rouge is doing her own thing. Amy is kind of tagging along with Team Hero, which consists of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Those are all men. It's not looking good here. However, I will say, at the end of the game, everybody's on the Space Colony Ark. They're in the same room. They like don't talk to each other whatsoever. They kind of make eye contact, and that's about it. It doesn't even pass the first rule. Sorry, Sonic Adventure 2, you're done. So you're probably like, oh, Izzy, what the heck? You just added a bunch of stuff on the board. Yes, I did. My best friend thought it would be a really good idea if we had a graveyard of failed games and a yippee for past games, not past like passed away, but like games that passed the test. Anyways, I figured why not do all the Sonic Advance games all in one go? Sonic Advance 1, 2, and 3. And we're gonna start with 1. There's not a lot to be said. I included these because there are technically some dialogue. However, in Sonic Advance, there's only one girl, and it's Miss Amy Rose. So you know what that means? Sonic Advance, you are dead. Sonic Advance 2. We at least have 2. Oh, actually, 3 female characters. She's not up on the board. I'll get to that in a second. Sonic Advance 2 is the first game to introduce Cream the Rabbit. We know her, we love her, she's so cutie, and I miss her. Bring her back, Sega. Actually, we saw her in Crossworld, so I'm excited to play her again. This is the first game that she is playable ever, and she was a much needed addition, in my opinion, to the Sonic franchise. We need more girls. She is like the second unlockable playable character. Yeah, and for the most part, that's it. It's really just Cream. Cream has some dialogue with Sonic, but she tells Sonic, hey Sonic, my mom got captured. Can you help me? And he's like, yeah, sure kid, I'll help you, because Sonic is awesome like that. But she goes on her own adventure. That's really the most dialogue she has. There's a point where at the end of the game, Cream is reunited with her mother, Vanilla the Rabbit. She is the size of an average human mother. I will say no more. Vanilla and Cream, they don't really exchange any words when they are reunited at the end of the game. So for that reason, I'm not really going to count it. There's also Amy Rose. She does not show up in the box art or anything like that because Amy is actually an unlockable character, and you actually have to get all Chaos Emeralds with all characters in order to even unlock Amy, and Amy doesn't even have any dialogue to begin with, so it doesn't even pass. It doesn't even pass. You probably already tell the trend. We're like 4 games deep, and none of them have passed so far. Sonic Advance 3! We have a very fun, spectacular, really, really awesome game. I loved this game as a kid. We have two female characters. We've got Amy, and we have Cream. Yippee! Do they talk to each other? No. There is no dialogue to be had between Amy and Cream. However, you can play them. I think it's very cute. Their team name is called Team Jubilee, and I think that's adorable, and I love them so very much. They're so cute. However, because there is no exchange dialogue between these 2 characters, Sonic Advance 3, you could have made it. You could have made it, but there is no dialogue between them. Or at least that I'm aware of, and I've played through that game. And please correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a long time since I played some of these games. I talked a little bit about this game in my Shadow video. Sonic Battle. Oh my god, this game could have had so much sauce. However, it fell so short. I could go on and on and on and on about this game. I tried to play it once. I tried to play it on my stream. I played Sonic Story and I said that's good enough for me. For example, you can play as like a shit ton of characters, that being Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Cream, Rouge, Shadow. There's a lot of guys you could play as in that game, and they all have their own unique story. And it's really, you can pick whatever one you want. I do think you have to unlock them, but I did scrub through all of Rouge, Amy, and Cream's cutscenes for that game, and oh my god, there's so many. It's kind of funky because we need to have at least 2 featured female characters that talk to each other about something other than a man. Amy, she's not doing great. She's not doing fantastic. Amy's whole story is like she is a little delulu. She's having a moment. This is when they did not know how to write Amy Rose. They did not know how to write a female character very well back then. There's a cutscene towards the beginning of her story where she sees that Sonic and Emerald are together. Emerald's the robot that I mentioned in my Shadow video. She asks Tails, like, who is this robot? Tails is like, oh, it's Sonic's new project. And Amy, for whatever reason, is like, oh, it's his baby? Oh my god, Sonic, I can't believe you were practicing being a parent. Again, Delulu. So she is constantly talking about Emerald. Emerald technically could be genderless. Robots don't really have a gender, last I checked. However, they give him he, him pronouns, so we're gonna just go with that. Amy constantly talking about Emerald. Rouge wants to get her hands, in her story, she wants to get her hands on Emerald because she's a double agent. She and Amy, they cross paths at some point, and Amy is trying to protect Emerald from Rouge, and Rouge is trying to take it from Amy, and they're constantly talking about Emerald. So far, it's not looking bright. At some point in Amy's story, she and Cream, they're roommates apparently. I did not know that, but they are roommates in that game. And Amy goes home. She's like, hi, Cream, do you want to do some kickboxing with me and Emerald? At some point between the different battles between Amy, Cream, and Emerald, Amy and Cream talk to each other. And Amy's like, all right, time to take these training weights off. And Cream was like, you had weights on this whole time? So, because of that, I am going to actually pass this game because guess what? There's 3 featured female characters and they talk, Amy and Cream talk to each other about something other than a man. And that's our first game that passed the Bechdel test. Yippee! Oh, Sonic Battle. I never want to play you again. Now we're on the game of all time. Sonic Heroes. Okay, I said this is the game of all time. It's really not. There are 3 female characters, Amy, Rouge, and Cream. Amy and Cream are actually on the same team. They're on Team Rose. Amy just doesn't shut up about Sonic that entire game. She somehow, in some way, always finds a way to bring up Sonic at some point. If there was a possible chance for Amy and Cream to even talk about something other than a man, she somehow ruins it by bringing up Sonic at the end of the day. And you're probably wondering, what about Rouge? What about Rouge? Doesn't she interact with Amy and Cream?
Hi, Editing Izzy here. While editing this, I realized that I was spouting misinformation and remembered that Team Dark does not interact with Team Rose, like, at all. So Rouge didn't even have a chance to talk to Amy or Cream.
So for those reasons, Sonic Heroes, you do not pass. Oh my god, this is looking rough. Shadow the Hedgehog, everybody. I actually don't like this game very much. I love Shadow. I love Shadow so much. However, this game made me want to rip out my hair on multiple occasions. Let's go ahead and see. Does Shadow the Hedgehog pass the Bechdel test? So in Shadow the Hedgehog, you could take different routes. So you could play the entire game without interacting. Well, actually, that's not true. You have to interact with like Rouge or Amy and Cream at some point. But there's a chance that you could go a route without even interacting with a single female character. However, there is a route where you could take where you go through, oh, I forgot the name of the stage, but it's the spooky stage with Amy and Cream. In that stage, if you choose to be good, do the good mission, Amy will show up and she will be like, oh my god, Shadow, you have to help me find Cream. You go find Cream. After you find Cream, they don't talk. Like, Cream literally is like, oh my god, thank you so much for thank you for saving me. And that's it. Amy doesn't talk to Cream at all. Like, Cream's only dialogue in that game, I think, is literally like, thank you for saving me, Mr. Shadow. And Amy will just talk to Shadow for the rest of the stage. They are not only 2 female characters in that game. Rouge is also there. These are kind of this is our main trio right now. The early 2000s, we've got Amy, Cream, and Rouge all the time. You will always see them. Anyways, Rouge is there. She's doing her own thing like she usually does, because when is she not doing her own thing? Anytime Rouge even interacts with another female character, which is Amy, because Cream is literally only seen in that stage that I previously mentioned, they don't even talk. Again, kind of like Sonic Adventure 2, they're in the same room, and they don't even exchange words. And that's it. That's pretty much it. Shadow the Hedgehog, you do not pass the Bechdel test. This is looking rougher and rougher, and I might go insane. Next game, Sonic Rush. Guys, you do not understand how much I love Sonic Rush. Sonic Rush was my second Sonic game of all time, and holy shit, this changed everything that I knew. Sonic Rush is one of the best handheld games I've ever played in my life. I don't care what you have to say. I love this game to death. I'm the biggest Sonic Rush defender there is. So Sonic Rush has 4 actually. This has 4 featured female characters actually. Sonic Rush has Blaze. She's a playable character. She can do no wrong. I love her so much. And then we have Cream the Rabbit, and she actually acts as Blaze's navigator. This whole game is about, and I'm gonna go a little bit in depth about this game because I love it so much. Blaze, she's like alternate universe Sonic. She's the princess of the Soul Dimension. She's got 7 Soul Emeralds. They're essentially just alternate universe Chaos Emeralds. She's got fire powers. She's just as fast as Sonic. She's a princess. What more can you ask for? She's so cool. However, Blaze does not understand how friendship works. And throughout this game, Blaze, through Cream, learns the power of friendship, and it's so lovely and sweet. I'm grossly oversimplifying this whole game. At the end of the day, Blaze, her whole thing is she learns how to rely on others' help and learn to ask for help through others, because her whole thing is like, oh, I can't rely on others. I have to just rely on myself. But through meeting Cream and having her as a navigator, she learns that friendship really isn't too bad. And I love that. And I think it's such a fun, sweet game, actually. And it's really cool. And Hideki Naganuma like eats up with the entire OST. Like, oh my God, bring it back. Anyways, there are 2 other female characters. You're probably wondering who they are. Of course, it's gonna be Amy. She literally only talks about Sonic. So, you know, she's not doing great to help pass the Bechdel test. However, there's also Vanilla Rabbit, not pictured here because I do not want to bring Vanilla here. She's not allowed to be here. I know you guys are freaks, so we're not putting Vanilla on the board, okay? But at some point, Cream actually brings Blaze over to her house with her mom, Vanilla, and they have a cute little conversation. They have tea. Oh, it's so cute. Amy and Vanilla are side characters, but technically I can kind of count them as featured. These 2 featured characters, they talk, and they talk about something other than a band. They talk about the mission that they're on. That's literally it. Cream talks about Sonic a lot, saying like, oh, Mr. Sonic saves the day, and da-da-da-da. However, they do have a lot of conversations that have not anything to do with Sonic. So, Sonic Rush. I love you, Sonic Rush. You passed. Now we got Sonic Riders. I know I mentioned no racing games. However, I feel like Sonic Riders is a little different, okay? This game is literally just a racing game. However, it does have a pretty lengthy backstory tied to it, so that's why I included it, even though I said no racing games. There are 2 featured female characters, and we've got Amy, and we have Wave the Swallow. She is so slay, but she's mean. She's also very mean. I do feel like they always write the girl characters in this like era of Sonic very mean and like weirdly catty. I don't understand why. Anyways, there is really one time ever that these 2 characters even talk to each other. It's the second stage for Team Hero, but Amy comes up. She's like, oh my God, hi Sonic. How are you, Sonic? And of course, because when is she not doing that? They're talking about the race to be had, and then Wave has this little like bomb. She has a little bomb. She's gonna put it on Tails' gear or hoverboard. For those of you who are not familiar with the Sonic Rider games, hoverboards are called gears. I do not know why. Wave has this little bomb because they're gonna cheat their way to win. The Babylon Rogues, they're gonna cheat their way to win. So she goes over, grabs Tails' board, she inspects it, she puts a little bomb on Tails' board and hands it back to him. How Tails did not notice this, I don't know. She laughs and then she leaves. Doesn't even really talk to Amy at all. Their biggest interaction is that moment. After Wave leaves, Amy walks up and she's like, who do you think that bitch is? And no, she doesn't actually say it. She says, who does that girl think she is? And that's it. That's pretty much their entire time interacting. I guess Amy and Wave sort of kind of not really interact towards the end of the game. For that reason, Sonic Riders, you do not pass the Bechdel test. So, I played this game very recently, and I did not like it. And I know there's a lot of apologists for this game out there. However, I'm going to tell you right now, I did not like this game, and I played through it all recently. Like, when I say recently, within the past month. Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Oh boy, this game is something. So there are 3 female characters in this game. So we've got Amy, Rouge, and Princess Elise, and these are our 3 featured female characters in the game.
Editing Izzy again. So I don't know how I just completely missed Blaze when listing all the female characters in this game, but I guess that really goes to show how not present she is in Sonic 06. So please forgive me, Blaze fans. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave her out of this. And also, no, Blaze does not interact with any of the female characters, sadly.
Do they talk to each other? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Only Amy and Elise, because Rouge never likes to talk to any of the other girls. Is she a pick-me? I don't think so. However, it is really funny that she never really talks to any of the other girls. Amy and Elise, they really only interact a couple times throughout the game. You see Amy mostly in Silver's story. There's 3 stories, by the way. There's Sonic, Silver, and Shadow. You play it through however you want. I started with Shadow, then Silver, then Sonic. I finished with Sonic because this campaign is the worst. Sonic has mostly Elise, Silver has mostly Amy, and Shadow has mostly Rouge. At least every single one of the stories have a featured female character. However, at some point when Sonic and Silver are interacting, Amy and Elise interact. Amy's whole thing is like, oh, I have to go find Sonic. I have to find Sonic. She, on her way looking for Sonic, she is trapped in like Eggman's spaceship, whatever the hell it is. And then Elise is like there. To be honest, I did not follow the story very well. I don't really remember why she was there. The game got really convoluted in the story and it just did not make sense to me. However, Amy and Elise run into each other. Amy helps Elise out and then they go into like the town square of Soliana and Amy's like, so what's your name? Oh, my name's Amy. Anyways, do you like boys? And funny enough, Elise is like, well, I guess there's like this one guy. And he was like, oh my gosh, tell me all about it. They're having a girl moment. However, they do not know that they're talking about the same guy. Yes, you heard me right. Elise, Princess Human Elise, is into Sonic the Hedgehog. The Hedgehog. That will come into play later. That's really the only time that they talk to each other. It's about a boy, so it's not passing yet. All three girly pops interact with each other. At the end, spoiler alert for an almost 20-year-old game, Sonic dies. They all go on a mission to help Sonic. This is the last story, by the way. I did not mention that. You play through all the stages that you went through with each character, starting with Tails and ending with Shadow. At some point, you play Amy and Rouge. You do not play as Elise because she's not a playable character. They get all the Chaos Emeralds, and for whatever reason, somebody at Sega thought it would be a fantastic idea to make Sonic and Elise kiss. So that happens. After that, you play a really cool boss fight against Iblis with all three super hedgehogs, that being Sonic, Shadow, Silver. And after that, you get a long cutscene, and the only people in that cutscene is Elise and Sonic. And then the game ends. So no, none of our featured female characters, they don't talk to each other about something other than a man. So Sonic 06, you did not pass the Bechdel test. And he's moving on from that terrifying game. We've got Sonic Rivals. Sonic Rivals was made for the PSP, and this game is one of the only other games that has Silver the Hedgehog in it. I have only seen Silver in like a couple of games. This is one of them. What goes on in this game, I don't really know. You have to like race rivals. That's the whole point. Sonic Rivals. There is two female characters in that game, Amy and Rouge. Amy never interacts with Rouge. Rouge never interacts with Amy. So therefore, it's really simple. Failed. It's hurting. It's hurting to look at this right now. Moving on. Sonic y los Anillos Secretos. So, Sonic the Secret Rings is the first of the storybook games, and these games were not well received. They suck. They actually suck so bad. I played this kind of recently on my stream on the Wii. Yes, with motion controls. I cried a couple times. There is one featured female character in that game, and her name is Shara. Shara, everybody. There's literally no other female character in this game. I mean, I'll be honest, I think Shara is awesome. I love her as a character. She's so sweet and cool, and she is like, we're gonna kill my evil ex. And I love that for her. Mwah! I love you, Shara. You could do nothing wrong. However, unfortunately, just because there's literally only one female character, Sonic and the Secret Rings, unfortunately, do not pass the Bechdel test. Now we have Sonic Rush Adventure. I have not played this game. I want to play this game. My boyfriend has played this game. Apparently, you have to craft things. I'm not a big fan of crafting things, so I do not know if I would like this game, but I'll let you guys know whenever I play it. In terms of passing the Bechdel test, let's find out. Blaze is back, guys. Yippee! And you would think, oh my god, Cream is back. Wrong. She has not seen sunlight for years now. Instead, we have a new character, is Marine the Raccoon. Marine the Raccoon, everybody. Nobody really talks about Marine. She like really only shows up in one game. She does show up in that one Archie comics. It's a spin-off. It's called Sonic Universe. It is literally the first Sonic Universe comic. That's where Shadow has his like really grumpy phrase that like everybody on the internet uses. The reason why Shadow is angry is because Marine said he would build him a boat, and then she just didn't. I support women's rights and wrongs. We have Marine, and Marine is a mechanic girly, but it's Blaze and Marine, and they're hanging out. I don't know much about this game outside of water. There's a pirate Eggman, and Sonic's there. I'll be honest, like I said, I've never played this game. I literally don't know anything about it. However, I do know that Marine and Blaze, from all of the cutscenes that I watched, they talk. And they talk about something other than a man. Which means Sonic Rush Adventure, you passed the Bechdel test. Out of the 14 games that we have covered so far, 3 of them pass. And that is really disheartening for me to see. I digress, we move on. This one's really gonna be quick. Sonic Rivals 2. The last one didn't pass, and I'm gonna tell you right now, this one isn't going to either, and I'll tell you why. It's essentially the first one, it's just the second one. There's only one female character, and it's Rouge. As simple as that. just doesn't pass. I really have nothing more to say. That game doesn't really have a lot of substance. There's really just Rouge. Anyways, oh my god, guys. This game is so phenomenal. Sonic Riders Zero Gravity, I played the shit out of this game as a kid, okay? I couldn't get past the third stage as Knuckles, but that doesn't fucking matter because this game has bops. Have you heard the main menu theme? Anyways, Sonic Riders Zero Gravity, more or less, is like the first game. The mechanics are a little bit different. The trick systems are a little bit different. A lot of people don't like this game compared to the first one. That's okay. I don't care. I'm a simple-minded gal. I like to press the 2 button on my Wiimote and do a fancy little trick and get an S rank, okay? I might have people coming in the comments for me for this one. I don't care. I'll speak my truth. This Sonic OST is probably one of the best Sonic OSTs. I don't give a shit. I love this game, and I love its soundtrack. Just like last time, we've got Amy Rose and Wave the Swallow. I played through that game twice. I've never seen them once really ever interact. There is a part, they're in the desert, they're about to go into Eggman's base, and they're all together for that, and they literally don't even talk. Sometimes these girls will just be in the same room, but they won't even talk to each other. They're just kind of there. Like I said, I played through this game twice, and I went through the cutscenes just to double check and make sure that they talk to each other. They don't. They literally don't talk to each other once. Hi guys, you've noticed the background's a little different and I'm wearing a whole different outfit. I had to cut the recording into 2 because unfortunately my camera ran out of space. So we're back and we have not all the female characters that we had on the board last time, but we've got a new one. I left off with Sonic Riders Zero Gravity. I'm so excited for this game. Sonic Chronicles. Before anybody gets mad at me and be like, Izzy, this game is not canon. I know it's not canon, but just bear with me. We're just going with all like the mainline Sonic games. I have a weird relationship with this game because I kind of love it and I kind of hate her. I think the idea of a Sonic RPG was like cool and fun and cutie, but it was just done so badly. Like, there's rumors that the entire game's OST just got deleted within the like last 2 weeks of production, and then they had to like go in and like do it all in the last 2 weeks. So the soundtrack sounds like really, really bad. We actually have 4 featured female characters in this game, and I'm so excited. Of course, we got the trio Amy, Rouge, and Cream, and we got a new character named Shade the Echidna. We cannot have her ever again. She is Ken Pender's property. Like I said, it's an RPG, so a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of dialogue. I played through this game with my friend Jet. You probably know him from his silly little meme videos out there. Back in like August of 2023, we dubbed the whole thing, and God, it took probably took me a good like 10 to 15 streams to finish this game because it's shockingly a long game. So this gets a little rough. Amy Rose, she has like this boyfriend that she doesn't shut up about, and his name is Dexter. She does not shut up about Dexter, and she keeps talking to Sonic about Dexter. Dexter this, Dexter that, Dexter my boy. Oh my God, Sonic, my boyfriend Dexter. Like, girl. Cream shows up pretty early on in the game. Well, early-ish, a quarter of the way through the game. She is an insane healer. Oh my God, you need to have her on your team. I re-went through the dialogue to make sure I wasn't missing anything because it's 2025 and I played this game in 2023. Of course, I'm not gonna remember all the dialogue. So I went through and I scrubbed through all their dialogue, and Cream, I think, maybe talks like approximately like 10 times ever, and she always has like one-liners. So it's not looking good for Miss Girl here. But then there's also Miss Rouge over here. Rouge is so catty in this game. Really, really catty to Amy all the time. And it's rough. And Amy loves to talk about either Sonic or Dexter. This does not exclude them from having a couple of conversations that are actually about the current happenings. They talk a couple of times, but it's not very long. But hey, that's something. And you're probably wondering, well, Izzy, what about Shade? You haven't really talked about Shade much. There is a dialogue of Amy, and I'm gonna put it on the screen, but she literally gets mad at Shade, and she's like, stay away from Sonic, you bitch. Actually, it says you witch, but she wanted to say bitch, and I know it. She wanted to say that with her chest. Like, why did they make her like that? They're gonna fix you soon, girl. I promise they're gonna fix you soon. If you're wondering, like, oh, well, does Shade talk to Rouge? Kind of. They don't have a conversation, though. It's kind of like she talks to her, and it's just one sentence, and then vice versa. So it's not really a conversation, it's just like, hey, we gotta go over here. Okay, I wouldn't really consider that a conversation. Amy and Rouge at least have a couple of conversations. So, shockingly, Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood. Yes, oh my god, you passed the Bechdel test. This is my favorite Sonic game of all time. Sonic Unleashed. And you're probably like, Izzy, doesn't that game have the Werehog? Doesn't the Werehog kind of suck? I don't care. I love that game. If you haven't played the PC port recently, you should, because it is, it's gorgeous. That game is so beautiful. When it runs in a frame rate higher than 60 frames per second, it is gorgeous. I feel like the PC port recently has made people realize that this game is better than they thought it was. But Sonic Unleashed, as much as I adore this game, unfortunately, has like one woman. So it's not doing great. It literally doesn't even pass the first rule. The only featured female character in this game is Miss Amy Rose. She also does not do a good job of talking about something other than Sonic. Fortunately, this was during the era where like Sonic 06 here flopped really bad, and I think Sega was just too scared of putting more of Sonic's friends into these games because of how poorly received 06 was. And fortunately, we really only have like 3 main cast Sonic characters, and it's like Sonic, Tails, and Amy. I guess there's Chip, but he's not main cast, and I also hate Chip, so it doesn't matter. It's just Amy, and she doesn't even talk about anything other than like Sonic, really. I mean, there's a scene at the end where she... No, never mind, I lied. She does talk about Sonic at the end there, so. As much as I love you, Sonic Unleashed, you are not passing, Miss Girl. We just went from one bad game to another bad game, but that's okay because I also love this game. Sonic the Black Knight, they did her so dirty. Listen, the story of this game, chef's kiss, gorgeous, beautiful. I love this game story so much. However, it plays awfully. I am literally this game's biggest defender ever, period. It's just, it plays bad. It plays so poorly. By the way, I played through this game 4 times. I love this game to death, really I do. I can accept its flaws, and I can accept that it's bad. So Sonic and the Black Knight is one of the storybook games. It is bundled in the same like series as Secret Rings. There was only 2 games in the storybook series. Getting into the nitty-gritty of it, does Sonic and the Black Knight pass the Bechdel test? Well, we have a new character, guys. This is Miss Girl. This is literally Diva. And oh my god, guys, Merlina genuinely is my like dream cosplay. I love her so much. Her design is gorgeous. Anyways, our featured female characters in this game is Miss Merlina, Miss Amy Rose, and Blaze the Cat. So far, so good. Like I said, we have 3 featured female characters. Do they talk to each other? Not really. This game is just Sonic kind of traversing through Camelot. And here's a fun thing about the storybook games is that these characters take on the roles of like the book characters. And I find that so fun. So Amy is the Lady of the Lake. I cannot remember Nimoon. I cannot remember her name and I cannot pronounce it. I'm so sorry. I didn't ask to be born dyslexic. But then we also have Blaze, who is Sir Percival. Yes, she has a little sword. Her boss fight is so fun. As bad as this game is, I truly do enjoy it. So Blaze is Sir Percival, Amy is the Lady of the Lake, and Merlina is Merlina because she's just her own character. It's Slay. They don't really talk to each other. Sonic will visit Amy by himself. Well, I mean with the sword, I guess. So him and the sword, Caliburn. The sword talks, by the way. He visits Amy kind of on his own. Merlina shows up every so often, and Blaze tries to kill him. At the end of the game, surprise, surprise, Merlina, she's actually a little evil. Listen, she may have tried to destroy Camelot itself, but that's queen shit. Merlina turns a little evil, and then Amy and Blaze and Shadow and Knuckles, because Shadow Knuckles is also in this game, they are further from the castle and like things are breaking and shit. Amy's like, guys, put your swords together and we will make Sonic Super Knight Sonic. I can't really call it a conversation because Amy does talk to Blaze for like a split second there, but again, it's just like a one-worded thing. Well, actually, no, she's not really even addressing Blaze directly. She's kind of just addressing the group. So unfortunately, this game isn't doing good. And you guys are like, oh, what about Merlina? They don't really talk at all. As much as I love this game's story, as much as I love Merlina and Amy and Blaze. It just doesn't pass the test. In the graveyard you go. Now we have Sonic Free Riders. As you can remember, the first 2 Sonic games, obviously they didn't do too well over here. But can Free Riders beat the allegations? Unfortunately, Free Riders has been deemed literally one of the worst Riders game. A lot of people did not like this game, and it's mostly because it's on Xbox Connect. I remember the Connect was like such a cool and fun idea, and I still think it was kind of cool for like Just Dance and stuff, but like for games like Free Riders, I don't think it did very well. Overall, not a well accepted game. Also, the cutscenes are not animated. They're just kind of like PowerPoints. PowerPoints with voice acting is kind of what I would say it is. I've never played this game. I always wanted to play this game. I always thought it was a cool idea. I just didn't have an Xbox or a Kinect. I have scrubbed through all of the cutscenes for this game. We have Wave, we have Amy, and we have Rouge and Cream in this game. Shockingly, well, you would think AB and Cream, they probably have a conversation about the Grand Prix that's happening. There's always a Grand Prix. Team Rose for this game doesn't have like Big, which I was shocked on. They have Vector the Crocodile. He's in it for the money, which, you know what? Get your bag, King. Amy, she's still in her deep dark ages, so she does not shut up about Sonic in this game. And anytime she talks to Cream, it's usually also addressed to Vector. It doesn't really count. It's usually just one sentence at a time to Cream, so not really a conversation to be had. However, and I was super shocked on this, Rouge, she's back to still being very catty. I do not know why they wrote her so catty in this era, but she actually talks to Wave here. And there's a whole cutscene where like Rouge is being incredibly catty to Wave. I don't remember exactly the context. I'll put it up on the screen, but you know what? They're having a conversation that isn't about a man. So, Sonic Free Riders, you did beat the allegations. I'm so proud of it. This is not gonna take very long. Sonic Colors. I love this game. A lot of people give it a lot of shit. I don't understand why. I actually very much enjoyed this game. However, when this game first came out is when I was first becoming like a diehard Sonic fan. And this is when they changed voice actors for Sonic from Jason Griffith to Roger Craig Smith. And I remember playing this game and being like, ew, Sonic sounds like the Pizza Hut commercial guy.
Introducing Pizza Hut's new ultimate stuffed crust pizza.
But anyways, yeah, Sonic Colors, it's really not gonna take long. The only characters in that game are all men. There's no female characters unless you want to count Mother Wisp, but she doesn't even show up in the Wii game. It's just Sonic, Tails, Dr. Eggman, Orbot, Cubot. Yep, no. Moving on. Oh, Sonic Generations. Oh my god, I remember when it came out, I did not have a console to play it on, unfortunately, and I literally was begging and pleading and hoping that one day I would be able to play this game. Unfortunately, I didn't get to play the game then, but I did play it when I was like 20 years old for the first time, and then also, as you guys know, Sonic X Shadow Generations recently came out. I only played the Shadow side, but yes, I have played Generations. I love this game. It's so good. It plays phenomenally. I think it was really fun to revisit old levels. I think this generation of games, Unleashed, Generations, and Colors, were pretty good actually. I genuinely liked them. However, we just lacked a lot of characters. Speaking of Sonic Generations, it does have a lot of characters. Most of like the mainline characters like Marine will not show up, for example. How Sonic Generations works is you play through a level as Modern Sonic and Classic Sonic, and you rescue the level from being eaten by the Time Eater. By rescuing said level, you also rescue the character associated with that level. So it's Amy, Rouge, Cream, Blaze. They show up for Sonic's birthday party because that's the premise of the game, is like everybody shows up for Sonic's birthday party because it came out for Sonic's, I think 25th anniversary. Yeah, they don't talk to each other ever. At the end, they all show up during the Super Sonic fight and they're like, "You can do it, Sonic!" Even at Sonic's birthday party, from the audience perspective, you can't see what they're really talking about. I think Amy and Cream talk to each other like in the background at some point. We don't see them really have a conversation and we don't know the context of it. And for that reason, because they're not even really featured, for those reasons, Sonic Generations, unfortunately, you do not pass. Now we have a silly little game called Sonic Lost World. This game looked really cool. It's just, I hate to be that guy, but this game wants to be Mario Galaxy, but didn't do it very well. I will say, the OST of this game, so good. Honeycomb Highway? Oh my god. The bass on that? What a good song. Anyways, Sonic Lost World was for the Wii U. I remember wanting to play this game, and then I didn't have a Wii U, so I could not play it, and I don't really have interest in playing it now. I might do it one day for a stream, but it's okay from what I've seen. My boyfriend, on the other hand, I remember he told me, he's like, this is where I lost hope for Sonic. There's only 2 female characters in this game, but that's all we need. We only need 2. Amy Rose, of course, again, we love her. They're starting to fix Amy here, which is good. We love that. And then we also have Xena. As you can see, Abby does not very much like her design. I don't like them very much. I've seen all the cutscenes. There is a really funny cutscene where Sonic is like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then Xena's like, oh, thank you. And he's like, sorry you don't have anything better to do with your life. And I went, Amy shows up on Tails' little iPad. She has Tails' iPad this whole game. She's acting as Sonic's navigator this whole game. And she and Xena, as you can probably already tell, don't ever interact because she's on an iPad. There's no conversation to even be had. I mean, they got past the first rule, but that's like it. So, Sonic Lost World, you're not passing. Do I have the next 3 games for you? Sonic Boom, Rise of Lyric. Yikes. This and the show on Cartoon Network came out at the same time, and I do remember just kind of looking at it and being like, maybe I'll give it a try. I took a little look at the first episode when it first aired, and it was not for me, and that's when I kind of fell off of Sonic for a little bit, I'll be completely honest. Because of that, I just never played the game, nor have I looked into it. I looked at the cutscenes, I kind of spoiled it a little bit for myself, but I just for the reasons of this video, I had to make sure that Amy, who is one of our 2 featured characters, and new character, Styx. So far in this game, from what I've seen, she's just an NPC, and she doesn't really interact with Amy. I guess if you're like playing as Amy, you talk to Styx, but there's not a conversation to be had because, again, you're just playing Amy, and your character doesn't really have dialogue with Styx. Like I said, I went through the cutscenes, and I didn't ever see any kind of dialogue with Amy and Styx at all. Maybe there is some if you choose to do more of the side quest stuff, but from what I saw of the main story, no. And dare I say, because Styx is an NPC in this game, I don't even know if I could count her as a featured character. So with all that said, yeah, you just don't pass. We are not done with the Sonic Boom series. We have 2 more games. There was 3 games in total. I thought there were only 2, but surprise, surprise. Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal. This is a 3DS game. I didn't even know this game existed. My Twitch chat had to tell me that this game existed. Like I said, wasn't really into Sonic at this time, so I didn't really know anything about these games, so I did a lot of research on these games. I went through all the cutscenes of this game, and I was shocked. Amy and Styx, the nice thing is that they do actually talk to each other. So when I went through the cutscenes of this game, there wasn't too much going on with our female characters. Amy gets captured by Lyric at the beginning of the game. She has a cool girl boss moment, and then she gets captured. Uh-oh. So for most of the game, it's Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Styx. It's not looking good here. However, at the end of the game, they rescue Amy, and Styx and Amy, they have a cute, quick little conversation about Amy getting some new shoes. Holy shit, guys. I did not think this game would pass. Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal, you outdid yourself. You truly did. I did not expect much from you, but good for you. The last installment of the Sonic Boom series, Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. We again also have Amy and Styx because they are our girly pops in this series, as you can tell by now. This one's a little interesting because the premise of this game is there is a robot that Eggman uses. I can't remember exactly how he uses him. I think there's like fissures that they have to like close or check up on, something like that. Styx becomes super duper obsessed with this robot. And like I said earlier, robots technically don't really have a gender, but because in this game they refer to Adorabot as he, we're gonna assign Adorabot he, him pronouns. Styx is, she is enamored with Adorabot. She just kind of sees him like a puppy, almost like a little pet. That's kind of all she talks about the entire game. When I was going through all the cutscenes, it didn't really seem like Amy and Styx had a conversation. It was just like they would talk at each other. It's really not looking good. Even at the end of the game, usually sometimes the end of the game will save it, like they will have a little conversation at the end. Nope. That is not the case. They don't really even talk to each other this game, sadly. So unfortunately, yeah, Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, you did not pass, Miss Girl. Man, okay, we literally have 3 games left and yikes. Moving on. Now we have Sonic Forces. Oh my god. This game took me 4 hours to beat. God, I hate this game. It is not good at all. You can make an avatar And that's, dare I say, the best part of the game, actually. The premise of this game is that Eggman wins. Yup, Eggman wins just one time. And they take Sonic as a prisoner of war and torture him. I thought that, I was a little shocked on that one. Like, what do you mean they tortured Sonic? Like, what were they doing? Waterboarding him the whole time? Like, what the hell? But here's the thing about this game. It's very weird. This game could either pass or not pass. Like I mentioned, you can make your own little avatar to play as in this game. So sometimes you will play as Sonic and sometimes you'll play as your avatar. When you make the avatar, you could either make it a boy or a girl. Sorry, non-binaries. There is no option for that, I'm sorry. Obviously, like I said, use the male avatar. It's gonna go into the graveyard. It does not pass the Bechdel test once because as far as like female characters go, we have Amy, and we have Rouge. They don't talk to each other. I do not recall a single time that they talk to each other. They might be in the same room, but never talk. However, if you play as the female avatar, Amy will talk to your female avatar and give you a mission. And you guys kind of sort of have a conversation. Like, your character doesn't really say anything, but technically Amy is talking to you. You're having a conversation. It's implied that you're having a conversation with Amy, right? I don't know. I'm just sitting at a weird like fence with this game. So you know what? It's a middle. Sonic Forces doesn't really count because like I said, it could be yes or it can be a no. So we're just putting Sonic Forces up here for the rest of the time. Guys, we are almost done. Sonic Frontiers. Oh, dude, it was this game is so cool. I think if you're new to Sonic, maybe not the best place to start, but I think it could be like a second or a third game that you play for the first time because it is so cool. I have a few issues here and there with this game, but overall, I really did like it. Sonic Frontiers has 2 featured female characters. Once again, we have the returning Amy Rose, and we have a new character, Sage. Sage she's like a program. She's like an artificial intelligence program, but she takes on like a physical-esque form. She's like a hologram kind of just like floating about and stuff. Unfortunately for me, she didn't really grow on me too much. She just didn't have too much character development. I don't feel very strongly about her, you know? When I was like thinking back and doing a little bit of research for this, I was like, oh yeah, no, this game passes. Wrong. When Amy and Sage interact, they are either talking about Sonic or Eggman. The scene is on the first island, Amy's island. Sage comes and she kind of mocks Sonic, and Amy's like, girl, what the hell are you saying? And Sage is like, he just can't do it. He just can't. The conversation that they have is mostly just Amy defending Sonic or Sage talking about Eggman in some capacity. And I guess there's at the end of the game, they talk to each other. Not really. Like, Sage is mostly talking to Eggman the whole time. Like, actually, now that I think about it more, I don't think they talk to each other at the end at all. Like, Amy's trying to make sure Sonic doesn't tweak out and become a red glitchy mess. And Sage is trying to make sure that Eggman doesn't die either. So unfortunately, it's really not looking good at all. I also do want to point out that Amy, they wrote her so well in this game. I'm so glad they finally got to a point where Amy is like fixed. She no longer is like crazy obsessive about Sonic. She just like, she cares about Sonic. She still has like a little crush on Sonic, and they do it very tastefully. They're very much like, Amy's very much her own girl boss, and she always has been. She truly always has been her own little girl boss, but this time they kind of dialed it back, and they're just like, yeah, no, she still really likes Sonic, but you know, she's got her own things to do. It's fantastic. But yeah, there's a chance that they do talk in the DLC, but when I played the DLC, I don't really recall them ever talking. So, Sonic Frontiers, I thought you could do better. Unfortunate. Guys, we are on our final game, and it is The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. So The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog is very different from the rest of the games. It is a visual novel, and it was actually directed by the head of the social team, my friend Katie. Shout outs to Katie. I love you, Katie. You do so much. I hope they let you make another one of these games. This was phenomenal. They write the characters incredibly well. The art is phenomenal too. I'm actually going to put up the artist's Twitter because he is fantastic. It is Amy Rose's birthday party, actually, in this game, and she invites all her friends aboard the murder, oh, I forgot what it's called, something express. We have Amy, we have Rouge, and we have Blaze. Unfortunately, there is no Cream. They've kind of neglected Cream at this point. Yikes. I heard that they actually wanted to include Cream, but I think what I read was that they deemed her a little bit too young for a murder mystery party, so I don't want to spoil too much of this game. You should really play it yourself, or if you want to watch a little summary of it, I have a video. I'll put a link up here so you guys can watch it if you want to. So Amy doesn't really do too much here. She kind of like sets up everything because again, it's her birthday party. She's the host. She makes this whole like murder mystery because Sonic is dead. And Amy doesn't really talk too much to the other female characters, but in one of the train cars that you explore, Rouge and Blaze have a very lengthy conversation about stealing a Fabergé egg. That's actually the reason why Rouge is at Amy's party, because she wants this Fabergé egg. And Blaze is just like, you know what? This is kind of fun. Fuck it. Why not? So they go and they steal this egg and they have a whole very lengthy conversation about it. And because they have this whole conversation about an egg, guess what, guys? Our final game, the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. Yes, you passed, Miss Girl. Oh my God. And that is it. We have covered all of the Sonic games. Unfortunately, most of these games do not pass, as obviously you can see, but some of them do. And honestly, I think some of these are definitely worth the playthrough. Like I said, Murder Sonic the Hedgehog, phenomenal. Sonic Rush Adventure, great games. I really like those games. Really quickly, if you like the art that you have been seeing throughout this video, please go find my friend, The Nerdy Alchemist. She has been drawing all of these lovely characters on the board. She's awesome. I literally love her so much. Like I said, if you really like her art, go give her a follow on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more content from me, you could subscribe, click that bell. Oh my God, I sound like a YouTuber. I stream all the time. I'm probably live right now on my Twitch. If you want to see me play a Sonic game, which I probably am, go to twitch.tv/IzzyBell and I hope to see you in chat sometime. That's the Sonic Bechdel test, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Bye.